Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing really well. Please hit that like, subscribe, do all those incredible things, and of course say hi in the comments. This is a new playlist that I'm doing just for you guys who care about power, privacy, and decentralization and all those things. I've done the first episode, which is probably going to be classified as episode 0, which is me laying out my sort of broad rambling thoughts in terms of where I've coming from. And this is how I'd probably classify as episode 1, which is quite simply saying cloud AI can never truly be private. So what do I mean by that? Well, I guess the question first is, why do people think cloud AI is private? Ultimately, that is the question. So the way I probably think about it, and for those of you who may not have sort of really considered, what is cloud AI? Isn't it AI just AI? So when we think of cloud AI, we're thinking of the big frontier model providers, ChatGPTs of this world, Gemini, all the rest of it. And why do people, why do you, why do we, why do people make the assumption that cloud AI is private? And I think it comes down to a couple of core fundamental points. One is trust. We trust the big brands. We trust the corporations. We trust with their marketing and their messaging. And we buy into those brands. We feel gravitas to those brands, particularly if we like a particular brand, of course. So we trust with brands, and we trust when they say that their AI is private. So we buy into that. We accept it. We also trust that they have privacy policies. This big corporation, of course, is going to have a privacy policy. Of course, they'll do things right. Of course, they have good compliance and procedures in place. We sort of buy into that whole story. And of course, there's regulation, because these companies, they're going to be tightly regulated, and they've got to obviously do things by the book and all the rest of it. So there are sort of some of the reasons that the public, whether it's you, whether it's somebody else, buys into the fact that we trust cloud AI to be private when they say they're private. Equally, there's that classic phrase of trust us, which I tend to sort of always call upon when trying to sort of give the analogy. But the point is, we don't want to trust, because that's where we can slip up, unfortunately. So what's the misunderstanding? Is privacy being confused? I think there's a fundamental challenge here. I think people don't quite understand what privacy means in the digital age and the implications with AI. For example, in quite simple terms, there's a discrepancy between intent and architecture. So what do I mean by that? Well, a company may have the best intentions in the world. We may trust them. They may be a fantastic brand, and you may have a huge amount of loyalty to them. And the intent may be there. The intent may be to be private, but the architecture tells us something different. And this is fundamental. If you look at the way AI actually works, there are basically 3 steps. There's an observation level where the AI is observing your input, i.e. what you're typing in. The AI has to observe that input, and it's being sent then to the cloud. It's been observed, and there's no way around that. Encryption, all the rest of it, it has to be observed by the AI. So your words, your thoughts, your messages, your intellectual property is being observed. That is the first step of how AI works. There's observation, and then there's inference. And this is where and how basically the AI model works. It uses its trained model data that is trained to sort of come out with its outputs. But basically, it takes your observation, it uses its training model, and it produces the third step, which is the action, the output, whether it's a robot deciding to move, whether it's deciding how to frame an argument to give back to you in a text-based answer. So in essence, that is the 3-stage step of how AI works. You type in your query, the AI shoots it off to the cloud, and the AI observes it. So even if it's being encrypted from your device to the cloud, on that journey is encrypted, it has to be observed, so unencrypted, for the AI to understand what you're asking of it. It then obviously goes through that second stage, which is the inference stage, and of course then it's working out how best to give you the answer, and the third stage is that action output. So in quite simple terms, guys, even if the intent is there to be private and to be secure, architecturally, it can't be. I think there's another really interesting perspective over and above intent versus architecture. And the second one is behavior versus what's possible. Now, the behavior may be perfect right now. The behavior might be correct. But what we've got to remember is once it's been observed, it doesn't matter if the data is then deleted. It has still been observed. There is still a record of it. Metadata, learnings of all those types of things. It's captured, even if it's later then deleted. And that's the way AI systems work. So even if the behavior is intended to be good, the possibilities in the future, whether it's in a week, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, 60 years, the possibilities are that that information, that insight could be used in the future. And possibly, again, one of those grey areas of promises versus constraints. Now, let me break that down. A company may promise never to share your data, and we trust them. There's privacy policies, there's regulation. We trust them. They promise never to share your data. But there's the reality. If a government has been asked by the state, if there's a subpoena, court order, etc., they will and have to disclose that information, the data that they have. So although the reality is we want to hope that they never share our data, we believe them that they're never going to share our data, but the reality are that there are, excuse me if I get the words out, constraints on what that reality is. And why we don't store your data misses the entire point entirely. The moment observation happens is the moment your privacy is lost. It's not about how long your data has been observed or stored. There is a millisecond, 10 minutes, an hour, or a year. The moment it's been observed, privacy has been lost. That doesn't mean anonymous, and not used for training data doesn't mean not used at all. Storage is the least important part of the pipeline. Observation and inference is where power lies. And this is where we've got to be real. Regulations, bureaucracy can't fully solve this problem. The reality is regulations govern based on outcomes and behaviors. When a bank blows up, the regulators come in and say, you need to now do this. You need to stop doing X, Y, Z. It's reacting to behaviors, but systems persist. Laws can change. A new party can come in. They could change the laws of the country of their state, but architecturally, it persists. If it's built with architecture in mind, there's longevity, there's persistence. It's not going to change with the latest law, with the latest whim. It's architecturally constrained. As long as intelligence runs somewhere else, it means that someone else controls it. So this isn't about whether we want to trust better governments, better corporations, or better businesses. It's about understanding that privacy only exists when we don't need to trust at all.